I think for the moment, crude really could be turning out to be that large reason. Hemang, the market breadth is becoming bad to worse. Is this beginning of a prolonged decline in mid and small cap stocks?
Good morning, Nikunj. I think after a very good, smart performance in March and part of April, now I think we are seeing a bit of a pause in the overall market, and I think it's primarily driven by the spike in the crude oil price, and we think that because you have important event also coming up, people would want to be a little cautious and light in terms of their positions before that, and it's quite fair because we have seen a very strong momentum. At the same time, what we have to keep in mind is that we are in the middle of the result season, and it's not looking as if that there is going to be a broad-based revival in the earnings per se. There are very few handful set of companies which are delivering good set of numbers. So that also would have a role to play in terms of certain mid-cap stocks correcting. So I do think that we may have a bit of a pause over the next few weeks, and depending upon where the crude settles and how election-related news flow pans out, you might take a broader directional call post some clarity on that front.
Hemang, the Nifty Bank yesterday saw its lows for the year, down 500 points. Open interest is also down 11% or so. Long unwinding being seen. Particularly on some of those PSU names, we're seeing that pressure building up. What would be your strategy on the financials going forward from here?
See, we've seen some correction in the Bank Nifty. Anyway, it's been a high beta index, but the way to look at this entire thing is that a large part of the Bank Nifty is made up of only about 3 to 4 banks, be it HDFC Bank or Kotak Bank, a little bit of weight of SBI. So I think the entire concentration of the financials lies with only 3 to 4 names, and where we are extremely positive, be it HDFC Bank, which has come out with a stellar set of numbers, Kotak Bank, to some extent the corporate lenders like Axis and ICICI, they both are close to their 52-week high levels. So yes, you might see a bit of a correction in those names, but I think the overall earnings growth picture looks quite compelling for these select names. The rest of the smaller banks or the PSU ones in particular, we don't think one should really pay too much of attention there, because there is not a case for a significant turnaround story. So these 3 to 4 bigger names in the financial space, we continue to be extremely positive.
What about your outlook then, Hemang, when it comes to the aviation sector? I only ask this because, very rightly so, we have seen the domestic air traffic growth in the month of March come in at the slowest pace in 5 years. Does this automatically mean that for players like a SpiceJet and an Interglobe Aviation, there is chances of enhanced market share, and we can see further gains on account of the grounded fleet in Jet Airways?
Yes, I do think that because of the developments around Jet, there is some amount of positive news flow, and in terms of the market share and to some extent pricing also, they are at an advantageous position. But at the same time, we have to keep a very close eye on the crude oil price, because we've seen time and again that despite the growth in the passenger traffic, these companies do not have any meaningful pricing power, and the moment the crude moves above, let's say, threshold of $75–80, these companies would start showing extremely poor set of operating profit margins. So yes, there might be tactical opportunity because of the Jet episode, but I'm not too optimistic on the airline sector per se, because of the way the crude prices are shooting up.
To the list of some of the big losers yesterday, and some of these so-called haloed trader stocks, which is PC Jeweler, Suzlon, Reliance Power, they've reversed, and they've reversed very, very sharply. Hemang, 36 stocks are going to be out of F&O. The names include the likes of Suzlon, Reliance Power, Ajanta Pharma, Tata Communication, Now, some of them are very speculative HNI dominated stocks, and some of them are largely liquid names. How do you think this list or new list of FNO inclusion will impact the price of underlying securities?
See, clearly some of these stocks were already showing a bit of a weakness before this news came out, and there is going to be a certain amount of speculative open interest in these names, and because certain stocks are part of the FNO list, you see a bit of a volume and activity around that. So because of this news of exclusion of these securities, you might see a knee-jerk reaction in the stocks, because some people may want to liquidate their positions. So anyway, most of these stocks that we've seen, fundamentally I don't see any great story there, but because of this news, there might be some, let's say, correction at least in the near term because of this particular development.
Well, Jet Airways, we've heard Hemang, we've already been expressing as a channel a thought as to why you should not be buying Jet Airways, even though there is a decisive view which seems to be that there is a white knight, or there is going to be a large bidding, which clearly will happen. I'm going to scan through the list of stocks which are at a 52-week high, and not a whole lot of stocks which are at a 52-week high. Sometimes even a Bloomberg screen has to struggle to load 52-week high. So just one of those days where, there you go, got them finally. Oh, someone's taking a Bloomberg away. Okay, never mind. Hemang, what are you telling your clients to buy right now?
Well, Nikunj, we are extremely positive on some of the banking names, though we have not seen any meaningful correction. It has just started, yesterday. But if we look at the numbers coming out from HDFC Bank and whatever expectations are there in terms of numbers from ICICI Bank or Axis, we are extremely positive there in terms of the growth trajectory coming back, and overall risk reward, though they have really run up, we think it's looking extremely compelling. So any correction that we may see over the next let's say few days because of the crude price going up, or for whatever reasons, I think one should definitely be adding to HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, and to some extent Axis Bank also, because overall next 2 years we are looking at a very, very strong growth. And in terms of valuations, even HDFC Bank is quoting at 3.5 times adjusted book, with a growth which is much higher than the consensus expectations, both in terms of loan growth as well as net interest income. So we are extremely positive in the banking space.
India Bull Group names, and there is so much of news flow for the India Bull Group companies that sometimes it's hard for us to even recompile or reconcile everything. This is India Bull Housing. The stock yesterday collapsed by about 8.5%, even though they are on course to become a bank, provided they get RBI approval for the Lakshmi Vilas Bank deal. India Bull Real Estate, and let's look at the 1 year chart for some of these stocks. That's where I think you will see that big drop. India Bull Real Estate about a year ago, in last 52 weeks, let me put it this way, India Bull Housing has taken a knock of 50%. India Bull Ventures was almost at 800 rupees. Last 52 week, from 262 to 800, and from 800 back to 31, back to about 190 levels. India Bull Real Estate in last 52 week has taken a knock of 46%. Among these are liquid names. These are names which were patronized names of 2017 and 18. Even though the group is trying to reboot itself by converting the NBFC business into a bank, there is no excitement in some of the other group companies. Why is that?
Well, I think we have to keep in mind that post this entire NBFC issues that we had in the month of October, there are concerns about the exposure that some of the mutual funds would have towards these kind of names. And whenever you see volatility because of the high beta nature of some of these companies, you will see a heightened volatility around it. What I understand is that the promoter and the group is trying to focus on the financial services business per se. So they are probably trying to sell a substantial stake in the India Bull Real Estate, and will focus more on the housing finance and the NBFC piece through consumer finance, a business similar to Bajaj Finance, through their India Bull Ventures. So this entire restructuring of the group is something that is really happening, and depending upon when the final news will be out, you will see some action over there. But some of these stocks are not under part of our coverage, so I would not be able to put out any views over there.
All right, fair enough. That's the entire India Bulls group of stocks in focus.
Hemang, if one works with the assumption that next 30 days, next 45 days would be difficult to call, what should be the idea to preserve capital here, Hemang? Because 5-10% swing is coming. It could be 15-20% in mid-cap stocks. Do you think one should sit on 10-15% cash? It is better to buy higher post 23rd of May rather than trying to anticipate the event. Should one buy into defensives, go back to IT, go back to a little bit of FMCG? Or you would say that don't worry, 10-15% will come and go. You cannot buy at the top, you cannot buy the news, you cannot time the market, just approach the event fully invested.
See, Nikunj, my understanding and experience has been that the more one tries to time such events and news flow to perfection, you might really feel left out, particularly for some stocks which don't give you that kind of an opportunity for a longer period of time. So yes, the event is big. We are close to all-time high levels, but if you look at the composition of the index, there are only very few stocks which are near all-time high. If you look at the broader market in the mid-cap and the small-cap stocks, anyway they have not participated, and if they have gone up very little by about 10-15%, even if they correct, that does not make any difference to the overall scheme of things. So our belief is that let's not focus too much on this election event, because from an investment perspective it really would not matter too much. Yes, you will see a bit of volatility and hype around it, but you should stay focused on the ideas that you want to participate in, wherever the numbers are good, wherever the there is a growth visibility. So I have already shortlisted the banking names, maybe some of the other ones like let's say Atul Limited that we like, some of the cement names like Ramco Cement, Ultratech, where the numbers would look extremely good. I think it's time to really look out for such opportunities in the market rather than trying to time it.
So I'm going to get a quick reaction from Hemang Jani, because I remember getting a SMS from Hemang Jani 2 years ago where he hinted on something like this could happen. So Hemang, looks like, that's what we understand, this is completely source based, that Reliance Jio could be getting a large investment from SoftBank.
Yes, Nikunj, I think if you look at the news flow over the past few weeks, the company seems to be in the process of de-risking and de-leveraging their balance sheet, because there is a about 3.5 lakh to 3.75 lakh crore kind of a debt. And as we are seeing that the core business is not really growing as much, and the company has just completed the investment phase, so they are trying to basically unlock the value of some of their businesses, whether it's core business or Rel Jio. And my belief is that Rel Jio, the timing of this deal looks a bit of a surprise, because still the company has to show their overall numbers and the profitability, because if you look at the EBITDA of Rel Jio, though the subscriber growth addition and the way they have implemented the project is quite impressive, but still the broad numbers are not looking that great in terms of EBITDA, etc. So I think the timing of this is a little early, but depending upon what valuation they might be getting, they might be open to it. And if something fructifies, whether it's in terms of their core business or in Rel Jio, then it could provide some kind of a trigger to a company where the otherwise the core business is not showing that kind of a growth. So I think this would be a big positive development for Reliance.